All right, everybody, this will be warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024, part 116D, I believe. So there's been a lot of these pundits and everything, after the election here talking about, oh, those uneducated people, Trump supporters, and you know, uh, how are they going to get the Republicans to believe in science now about global warming and COVID and all this that Biden's won and it was these uneducated white women that voted for Trump and uneducated white men that voted for Trump. Um, Going through the radio stations here, I'm over here in Nevada, so just had the NPR on, the National Propaganda Radio or whatever you want to call it. It ain't unbiased news. Anyway, they come on with uh, even though the vote isn't done yet, Donald Trump keeps declaring victory and is filing all these lawsuits and stuff and talking about voter fraud. It's not even, all the votes aren't even counting. He's declaring victory. 2 minutes later, they put a clip on of Biden declaring victory. I'm confident. We've won this thing or whatever the hell he said. Anyhow, so as far as science goes, these, you see the years there, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. U.S. death tolls, according to the CDC. Now, they had another thing where you could go each month for each year. But I found it strange. When I first did it, the first one that popped up was 2018. You can see that's 2,839,205. In 2017, I found was 2,813,503. And there's the ratios, death rate right there, and what they are. In 2019, I couldn't find anything. I think there were some things to go month by month in it. 2020, didn't find anything like giving a total for the year so far. I think there might have been for each month there. So then I think these numbers here I got were from the U.S. Census. I'm not sure. I forget. Because every time I was just looking for a list of each year with, that number. How many people actually died? Just like that. And couldn't find a list going down each thing. And every time it would say, people also asked, how many people died in 2019, and I'd hit that, and it wouldn't give me a number. It'd give me a bunch of paragraphs about all, and I there was no final number, so I wasn't going to sit there and go through and try and add up each month for each year and stuff. But anyway, here's the ratios. 2016, 8.475, and you can see they go down as you get further back, all the way to 2008. Then the rates start to go back up. So I guess there's like an ebb and flow of people getting older and dying. But you can see how high they get. You can go further down. I went back as far as 91, but as I was looking at the list, if you go back to 76, it was like 9 something it was like the ratio was 9 something, I think, or closer to it than the 8.871 there. So the thing is, what's the death rate so far for 2020? Because they're saying we have 230,000 COVID deaths. So you look at all these rates, they're fairly close. All right. There was only, 26,000 or so more deaths between 2017 and 2018. I don't know what our total populations. I guess you could do the percentage there and figure that out. But you can see how much difference that made in the percentage. Not that much. So if you think, if you add 230,000 COVID deaths that would put us over 3 million deaths for the year of 2020. And that would be, let's see, so we got 26,000 there. So roughly 10 times the rate there should be 10 times, not, I'm saying 80 point, but roughly, so let's see, that went up 105 from 580 to 680, 105 there. So 10 times that would be 1,000 or so. So you would say 9.685 or somewhere in there, 9.690 or something like that. Should be what we see we should see a death rate at the end of 2020 for over 9, because you can see we're on that upswing there. You see here from all the way back down here, from 2008, the ratio was steadily climbing and still climbing to 2018. So that's 10 years. So let's go 10 years back past 2008. Or I'm sorry, 2007. No. Yeah, 2008. No, 2007. Still roughly 10 years. Went back, it was up then. So 10 years from that will put us back to 97. 97 is back 8.6. So where did it? It was going up, 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 going up. Still going up. So that's more than 10 years there. So we can be assuming. Or no, I'm sorry, I'm looking at it the wrong way. So it started dropping. So it was up all the way in 91, and then it dropped until it got to 2008. I'm sorry, I'm confusing you. So it was way up all the way back in 91. Kept dropping, and then 2008 it started going back up. So from 2008 to 91, that's what? That's 17 years. I don't know what it was before 91. Let's say it's a 20-year cycle. All right. So it should keep climbing. For at least 17 years, which will be 2024, and then maybe it'll go back down. It depends. Maybe it's a 20-year cycle. We'd have to go back and see where the next change was. But so if you take that trend from 91 all the way to 2008, it was declining. It was high way back then, and then it started going back up. On a 17-year cycle, and then it would go down again 17 years after 2024 or whatever. So you'd have to look and see the wave it was making. You have a graph to see what kind of cycle it is. So you can look. So 26,000 more deaths each year. That would put 2019 at 50, 65, 865, and then 2020 would be what? Add another, so 90, what'd I say, 26,000? And 860, did I say 65? Sorry. So you're looking at 891 for 2020. Unless you add in 230,000 extra deaths, then you're going to go up over 3 million. So there's some science and math there, since they're saying we don't believe in science and math. And then I would encourage them to go on and look at, because here's the thing with the left. They have all their minions out there who are just taught to scream people down and shout them down and call them a racist and all this, or they hate the planet and they're polluters, whatever it is. They tell them to sit and say, don't look at any information they offer you, any alternative data. Don't look at any of that. Don't look into windmills if they're really efficient, and don't look into ethanol. Don't look into what are we going to do with all these batteries. Don't look into, there's comparisons on YouTube by people if a Tesla is really more efficient than a combustion engine and stuff, and it's not. And speaking of that and everything, going electric, when you buy gasoline for your car, there's a certain amount of that's a tax that pays for all them guys out there, in the hot sun out there putting down that fresh pavement and stuff and making your roads nice. I don't know how they're doing it with the electric cars yet. If they're tacking on, some fee or something that they figure for the lifetime, which I don't know how they could do that. If they have some kind of recorder on the car and you just get a bill for your road taxes, or if they're not paying them at all. If they're not paying them at all, that is not fair at all, especially if they're being subsidized to buy them and getting tax breaks to buy these, because it's not poor people buying them cars. Poor people are not running out and buying $60,000, $70,000 Teslas. So here you got these rich people getting tax breaks to buy Teslas. Then they're not paying the taxes on the roads that they're using. Is that fair? That ain't fair. So you have the left. They want to shove all this stuff down everybody's throat. It's the same thing. Social Security and all this and everything. All these programs that they want to put in, free medical and all this, and they tell you can't live without all this shit. You got to look to us to take care of you. Don't look to God. Don't look to yourself. Got to look to the government to take care of you. It's leverage for them. Every single program, whether it's welfare, Social Security, whatever it is, subsidizing companies, it is leverage for them, because they're going to say, oh, it's being threatened by these other people, you better vote for us, or, hey, vote for us and we'll get you another new program, or whatever it is, we're going to take care of you. It is leverage for them, so that if you ever ignore them and don't vote for them, they're going to say, oh, you're going to lose all that, you better vote for us. Dependency. And then once they get so many different programs and so many people dependent on them, then they're going to show their pimp hand is strong. Then it's going to be, don't anybody dare speak out against us. Don't anybody try and alter anything we've put into place. And you got to understand, these elitists, these you got Antifa siding with these people and everything. And there's a giant mind F going on. You understand this? Whether it's about immigration and labor and everything else, and Wall Street and welfare and Social Security, you name it. There's a giant mind F going on right now in this country. Just believe them. Just trust in them. They're going to look out for you. They care about you, etc., etc., etc. People who oppose them, they're stupid. They're racist. They're polluters. They don't care about anything or anybody, etc. It's a giant mind F on you. It's not on the people on the right, even though there are people on the right who give a giant mind F for them when it's their buddies are going to war for oil or shit like that too. But you got to wake up on the left. It's also on your side. And this mind F right now that they're doing is on you. It is on you. Blindly follow them. It is on you. Blindly follow them. They'll put on their soft-spoken people on NPR and on the other channels, and they'll explain to you that, The other side is just, it's so unreasonable what they're doing, and they don't believe in science and this and that and everything like that. And you're never going to go look for anything yourself and study anything for yourself to see what's going on. So I encourage you, go on YouTube, Google, plenty of scientists from Princeton, Harvard, you name the university. There have been plenty of them who have gone into the benefits and the non-benefits of ethanol, wind turbines, solar, etc., 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 and as to whether any of it does any good, who's getting subsidized by it. You can pretty much walk, except for crossing rivers and highways, you could pretty much walk in corn from the Colorado-Kansas line all the way into Pennsylvania. Do you understand that? You know how much corn is grown? And that land could be grown for other things. Now, God bless the farmers. That's not an easy life. And without them, we all drop dead. Most of us anyway. But I'm not for subsidies for anything, especially ones that are no good, don't do anything for anybody. There's other crops they can be growing. We can improve on the systems that have been put in place in this country. Whether it's for farmers or for, energy companies, whatever it is, oil companies, we can start saying, look here, we're gonna get rid of all this crap, and you're gonna have to manage and do business better. And if something has to cost more, then it has to cost more. And if we have to block it from coming into the country from cheaper sources like Mexico or something, or China or whatever, to protect our workers with tariffs, then we might have to do that. Oh, tariffs will cause the prices to go up for our people, etc., this and that. So will overtaxing corporations and private individuals in this country. So you have to sit down and you have to do the numbers, and you have to look at each individual thing and talk to people and say, well, if we do this, what's that? What's cause and effect? What's that going to do? Hey, if we make Mexico get a minimum wage for its people, and we keep their politicians from being bribed from corporations who want to move down there to provide them with cheap labor, etc., etc., will that help the immigration problem? What if we let all the agriculture from California go to Mexico? Just let it go down there. Let them grow the food down there. All the people can stay down there and pick crops down there instead of coming up here to pick them. Oh, what are you racist? No, look here. They bring them people up here. They don't pay them squat. These are big, huge agricultural farms. Some of them private, some of them corporate. Then they get the state to say they're going to provide medical and everything like this for all these people, so that they don't have to pay them wages to where they can get it themselves, or so that they don't have to provide benefits themselves. So you, the taxpayer, are paying for benefits, for labor, for corporate or personal people who are getting filthy stinking rich off of cheap labor that's coming up across the border. And you need to wake up and start seeing things for what they really are, instead of all the bullshit that is thrown at you. There's television and fantasy, and then there's how the world really works. There's no free lunch. You have to look at cause and effect. You have to follow the money, and you have to see what's really going on. And sometimes you got to shut all the people out that are on your side and step back, go stand up on a hill and look at it a different way for yourself. And say, wait a minute, what's really going on here? And you can apply that to religion. You can apply that to anything. Politics, whatever it is. And so I'm giving you that bit of advice there. And I wanted to point this out about there's a way we can check on this. Because I'm thinking magically, if Biden wins, all of a sudden magically, there's not going to be any worry about COVID. No. Everything's going to get magically better overnight. The lockdowns will go, the economy will start to boom again. Everything. It's going to be like magic. But it really won't be. It'll just be the news media telling you that. maybe everyone wear a mask and we're going to do more of this, and maybe he'll be on TV wearing his mask and telling people to wash their hands, and then after a month he'll say, see, that's all it took. That's all it took Donald Trump was to wear a mask and tell people to wash their face and hands, etc., etc. And now look how much better things are. And it's all giant mind F and an illusion. And the news media say, oh yeah, look at that. Look, cases are dropping. Do you know out there that every time they report a case or something or goes into a hospital, they get 10 grand? Do you know that? Federal money, COVID response money. So I wonder how much they get for each death they report in emergency funds from the government. Well, from the government. From us. Our tax dollars. A large majority on the left and the right of this country need to go back and study about why this country was formed and how big a part the tax revolt played into it. And you got to start to question, here you are, you're going through your life, I'm getting taxed and everything, and there's welfare. You don't ever really stop and think about it. Think about it. Who the hell says anyone has a right to take your hard-earned money and take it and give it to somebody else? You know that, the old story about, I think it was the ant and the grasshopper. It might have been two other creatures. Anyway, the ant works his ass off and saves, gets ready for winter, and the grasshopper's out there frolicking around, not caring there. And winter comes, grasshopper's out in the cold, ant's nice and cozy in his thing, has plenty of food stocked up, and the grasshopper freezes to death and dies, what have you. Now I want to tie this into something else too. So, the ant should open up and gave that grasshopper whatever. So if there's any cartoonist out there, and it's going to have to be a conservative cartoonist, here's an idea. Take that story. All right, so you got the ant. He's working away. He's got his little ant family there. He comes home. He's got his paycheck. He shows it to his family. He takes some of that money and he puts it in a savings jar. You can just have jars. You don't have to draw banks. Puts it in his savings jar. Then, he's got another one there, college education. He's got another one there, retirement. He's got all these jars. And then, he takes the family out for ice cream or whatever. And all the while, you got the grasshopper dancing around on the side, smoking dope, doing whatever, getting in trouble. And, then the next week, the ant comes home with his paycheck, goes to do the same thing, and you have this big hand come in. And you put on there like liberal, socialist, or whatever, or government. And as he's going to put money away in his different savings jars there, the big hand waves him a big finger, no, 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 and then takes part of his money, and over where the grasshopper is, now there's a Mrs. Grasshopper, or a acquaintance Miss Grasshopper, and she's got some kids by the grasshopper. And they take that money and they give it to her. And you're like, what the ant's like, what the fuck? And so the grasshopper goes on, he's frolicking around, he's doing dope, he's doing whatever. So the ant complains and they take the grasshopper and put him in jail for smoking dope or selling dope, or saying he wants to put dresses on, little boy ants or something. And then the big hand comes in and waves its finger again and no, no, no. And then you see the grasshopper dancing around with his free bag of weed, and no cops or nothing can bust him. And then he complains, hey, he can't afford his weed. So the hand comes in on payday again and snatches some more money. And he complains his kids can't go to college. So it comes in and snatches some more money from the ant and gives it to the grasshoppers. So if somebody, you get the idea I'm saying there? Just show how the ant goes from being able to provide for his family, and the government hand, the socialist hand, keeps coming in, and his paycheck keeps dwindling down smaller and smaller. Then show the ant in his old age he doesn't have nothing. Maybe you could even show the ant is overtaxed so much he can't afford his property taxes anymore, so they take his home. Now him and his family are out in the cold. Oh, and there's the grasshopper. Oh, they got subsidized housing. The grasshopper family's living in a subsidized house. The grasshopper's still running around, not doing anything, smoking his dope. His welfare kids are getting food stamps and everything like that, whether he's with them or not. And it's all from the ant's labor. Is there somebody, a cartoonist out there who could do that? To illustrate that for people? Because that's what's going on. When they talk about wealth redistribution, that's what's going on. We're going to take from you until there's nothing left to take from you. And we're going to give it to these people. And when you're old and gray and you can't afford anything, or you're out in the street because you can't pay your property taxes on the house you worked for your whole life, you can look over here at the ant who never did shit in his whole life. I mean, the grasshopper who's never done shit in his whole life, who's over there. His kids got to go to college off of your tax money. His kids were fed their whole lives off of your tax money. Off of your paycheck, I should say. Off of the ant's paycheck. The grasshopper's kids got their education, got their food, got their medical, all off of the ant's paycheck. They got their housing. Now they're still frolicking around, having a good old time, not caring about shit. Because the big old hand of government's going around robbing all the ants of their hard-earned money and giving it to the grasshoppers. Now, ain't nobody can say anything about race or this being racist or anything like that. It's ants and grasshoppers, no colors. Because there's white people out there scamming the system too. Now, you're going to have somebody please draw that out, show that, illustrate it. Because you have to for these people. It's the only way they're going to understand. And that's people on the right and the left. Because a lot of people on the right just, hey, it's all right, helping people, everything. We're good Christians and stuff. Fine. You want to go the religious route? Let's do that. You know the story of the Good Samaritan? The rich man came out and passed by the poor man who was laying out there injured and everything. Didn't take care of him. The Samaritan comes along, takes him, doctors up his wounds, gets him a place at the room and board or whatever, and goes on his way and leaves him. Now, the person who was hurt, the poor person or whatever, the way I get from the story, maybe he was even robbed as a victim or whatever like that, was in desperate need of help. All right, was in desperate need of help. Needed his wounds bandaged and stuff like that. If the Samaritan had come back a week later and saw the same person who's now able-bodied and healed and going around begging and drinking like a drunkard or doing drugs or whatever, do you think he would give him anything else? No, he wouldn't give him anything else. See, so the Samaritan thing and love your neighbor and everything, I get all that. But there's a line. And that's like when Jesus said, you feed a man, you feed him for a day, you teach him how to fish, and you feed him for his life. You're not supposed to feed him every day. He's supposed to go out and take care of himself and feed himself. Is that too hard to understand? So don't give me all this crap about, we got to help. You don't have to help everybody. You can try and point them in the right direction. You can have systems set up for if people fall through the cracks and have a tragedy or something like that. So when I give my charity, I give to groups like you know, that feed actual starving people. You know, we got people over here on food stamps and everything. Their kids are fat at the age of 2, obese fat at the age of 2. When you look at people who are really need economic help and stuff, you look over there, you look at their kids' ribs are poking through their skin. They've got no meat on their bones at all. They're suffering, real suffering. So I give to those kind of charities who take care of those kinds of people. I used to hand out tracts out here. Every truck stop you went to, there's always somebody standing on the corner in the parking lot. You know, now we had all the subways and all that being put in the truck stops. I'd buy them a sandwich and a bottle of water, and you know, maybe if I saw them smoking, I'd even throw in a pack of cigarettes, God forbid, give me whatever, and hand it to them as I drove out when I left. Sometimes I'd leave a couple bucks in the bag too and everything. But I started thinking, man, especially after my kid was born, man, because there's so many of them, every single corner. I can't give to everybody. And people coming up to you and stuff now, like even now, you get these tweakers come up to you and say, hey, you know, you help us out, you give us a few bucks, we get something to eat, whatever. Where's your parents? I got my own kid to take care of, man. I have to look out for my own when I retire and stuff too. Doesn't mean I still don't give. And plus now I'm trying to pay these back taxes and stuff. So it's I've had to tighten my belt on everything. And even on my giving. Now I know there's people, well, you shouldn't do that and everything. I'm sorry. You know, let me see. Should I send $1,000 to this charity, or should I send $1,000 to the IRS before they come and really get on my case? How much help am I going to be to anybody then? I won't even be able to help my own son then. So you have to prioritize. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, anyway, I'll let you all get going. I'll just give you some things to think about there. And wish you all the best. God bless. Have a good Thanksgiving. Adios.